Welcome to the Underground.
Turn me up, bitch!
My Little Underground with Peter A.
It's My Little Underground. I'm Peter A. Today is a really exciting show because returning to the show once again is Malcolm Smith, who is the star and creator of a brand new web series I highly recommend. BQE, Butch Queen Energy. And you can watch new episodes Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and the link to that is in the description. So Malcolm also talks about TV tropes and that he's looking to avoid and other stereotypes and the idea of shopping a series to a network in the internet age. And we talked about so much more. It's always good talking to Malcolm. We always end up talking some shit and some really insightful shit. And please help me welcome Malcolm Smith to talk up Butch Queen Energy right here on My Little Underground. I want to know, what were you most nervous about and what were you most excited about? Because I got to put a little positivity spin on, being nervous about, putting something out there.
Yeah. I will say, I thought I was nervous until we finished the final edit, which did not happen until the Sunday before, like last Sunday, literally like 4 or 5 days ago now. So once I saw the final cut, I wasn't nervous because, not to, toot our own horns, but I was like, oh, this is good. Like, I could stand back objectively and be like, oh, this is solid. Like, I have nothing to be nervous about. So yeah, the thing I was the most excited about though, I think for people to see it, I think for so long, like even you and I have talked about it at length before like anything even came out about the show. So people have been pretty invested for a while without even seeing anything from the show. So it was exciting to finally have people put a visual to all the things they've been hearing. So yeah, no nerves though, which,
Yeah, like you're talking about the final edit, and I was also because listening to like Angie Martinez and like her talk about like how she wants to be in control of everything and just she knows what she wants, and she are you kind of the same way? Like did you approach BQE from like a DIY standpoint, or do you have a crew?
So first of all, shout out to Angie.
Yeah,
just love for Angie Martinez
all the time.
So I did have a crew, but it was still very much of, I envisioned this, so I still kind of want this. I think what happens as a creative is like, I guess like any artist, like I think you sit down in front of a blank canvas and you're like, I'm gonna paint a picture of New York City. And you're like, that is so broad. And then the more you get into it, the more you're like, well, I didn't want this building to be blue. I was thinking red, but blue is all we have, so I guess we're gonna have to make this building blue. And you just work with what you have. But yeah, definitely a lot of stuff that I wanted to see happen that happened, which I'm excited about, but a long list of stuff where I was like, oh, we're not gonna be able to do this. Oh, that's not gonna work. So yeah, but definitely a crew, which shout out to my crew, just they really held it down. Like so good.
Yeah, I'm watching, the show, and then some of the shots you had were very interesting. Like, what was homeboy that was jogging in the park, and then he gets on the train to come to your house for your party. Yeah. So there's one shot where like, the camera's so close to the train coming in. Like, how did you pull that off? Like, that's insane.
So that is all the work of our amazing DP, Karan Murray, who is just sick with, I feel like a 90s rapper. He's sick with the camera, but he really is. Like, he would say stuff to me. And it's funny, when we first, because he was actually, whatever. He was the second DP that I was going to work with. So I knew that time was going to be like really crunch for us because we didn't have a whole lot of time, didn't have a whole lot of money. And I was like, we need to get everything we need to get on these specific days, So I wanted to do very setup and just like quick camera talk. So like I wanted to get just like one wide shot of just everything in the scene, then going for close-ups for each individual character, and then move on. Karan wanted to do aerial shots. Let's bring the drone in. I'll do a handstand, spin around backwards. And I was like, okay. I mean, I'm not going to stop you. Like, if this is what you want to do, let's do it. So, yeah, between him and then our sound person, Corey, who was also like kind of like his right hand in, setting up shots. The two of them together really thought of some really, innovative things. So, yeah, between them and then our directors, it was a collaborative effort. But yeah, he went way beyond what my expectation was. So,
did you use an iPhone?
No.
Oh,
like we use an iPhone. You know what's funny? We didn't use we used the iPhone for almost everything in that beginning montage. So all of the Brooklyn shots, all of that was mainly from my iPhone.
Wow.
Shot by me, funny enough. That was me right out on Fulton Street with the Yeah. Oh, please, simple trick. Change your camera settings, go all the way to highest, quality or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you got a 4K camera. So
well, these things are made to be feature film cameras and whatever. That's what the whole marketing was for all these latest iPhones over the past few years anyway. So why not?
Yeah.
Because you're gonna drop a few grand on a camera, might as well spend like at least half that on on a good camera to make a full series out of, which is really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first scene, you're in the Uber, right? And your Uber driver's talking all that shit, right? And the thing is, what I'm noticing is, okay, no masks between you two, and the rule with Ubers is masked, right?
Yeah.
So is BQE operating in a non-COVID world?
So, God, we are technically operating in a non-COVID world, as in COVID does not exist in this world.
Of course not. Yeah, of course.
Yes. Obviously, we are aware that COVID exists. People were testing and all of those good things. But yes, I, much like shows that I love, i.e. Insecure, where I didn't want to watch this in, 10 years, 20 years, however many years down the line, and think like, oh yeah, this was during the pandemic. And of course, like, the pandemic is still like, obviously, you see people in the show wearing masks, but not on purpose. Like, it's just like, there were people in the street, they had on masks, like we couldn't shoot around them. But yeah, I didn't want to write a story about COVID. And also couldn't write a story about COVID because this was all written in I started writing this, I think, April 2020, and then finished maybe like September, like the final edits was September of 2021. So being heavy in the pandemic, I was like, I don't really want to write what we're living right now, because what we're living is not fun. And I want to kind of go outside of this world of, freezer bed or freezer trucks and hospital beds and blah, blah, blah. So
yeah.
No COVID.
So I think that is a good idea, but I've grown into the idea of actually kind of incorporating it, because I've seen certain shows like, I don't know if you've seen Crown Plaza on Netflix.
Oh.
Towards the end of the series, I don't want to spoil anything, but like COVID is mentioned. And then there's Superstore, who literally just go right into talking about COVID, because when you're working in a department store, it's something, it's the elephant in the room.
Yeah,
so
right.
The way they did it was really good. So I think it's fine.
Tricky.
Right,
because I don't watch it a whole lot, but I think it's Chicago Fire or Chicago PD, one of those shows about, it's a show about a firehouse in Chicago. So I think Chicago Fire. But even in that show, they mention COVID. But of course, it makes sense because these people are fire, people that go into hospitals. It works for their story. But for us, straight out the gate, I was like, I don't really want to. No.
Yeah. But, right. Okay. Yeah. Escapism is great. It's always good to have that.
Listen, that's all I know. As a Black American, that's all we have.
That's literally exactly. Because everything going on in like the news in the world, like when I'm doing my show, my podcast, like, it's in my head, but right now I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about these things right now, because you just get depressed, And
it's almost like, and of course, like, so much of writing comes from writing your own life or reality and all of that good stuff. But it's even seeing stories about police brutality and like social justice issues. And it's not that I'm tired of seeing those stories, because of course those stories in a way help push the conversation. But I have no desire to write a story about, police brutality. Like, there's plenty out there. That's not the road I want to take. But yeah, escapism for sure.
Yeah, because I noticed like
Yeah.
all like majority of the content I've seen you've done over the years, it's been just that. Like
Yeah.
whatever day when I would watch like Still Diverted on a Friday afternoon, it's like, okay, I would just kind of forget about all the bullshit that happened that day,
Shout out to
even if
Still
I was in a bad
Diverted.
mood,
Yeah,
And then when I would
shout
like,
out to you.
I would see you guys record it, you and Kenny, and like I would just kind of just laugh hysterically and just like
Yeah.
forget about everything that I went through. Tuesdays listening to The Click, it's like sitting in rush hour
The
traffic.
Click. Oh my God.
Yeah, I think about that show every
Shout
day.
out to The Click. Oh my goodness.
Dude.
Wow.
Yeah, I hate to bring
What a
back all those.
throwback.
If you
What
try
a
to forget
throwback.
about
Yeah.
that.
No, I mean, no, I don't
Yeah.
try to forget. I just
Yeah.
forget because so much time has passed.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, I just
that's kind of been a constant thread of my life where I'm always like, where's the joke? Where's the funny? Like, I know shit is dark right now and I know shit is sad, but like, let's try to find the light side of this. Because if not, we'll never get through it.
It's so difficult because I was talking to certain musicians and other like POC musicians, and they would tell me, I need to do something. I'm like, you don't really need to do something. You have to learn how to survive within yourself, whatever that means for you. It's challenging. But when it comes to other real life scenarios and in life that's not COVID, when you're writing your stories, do you I know escapism is the thing, but do you ever even by accident or whatever, do you incorporate certain real life elements that especially with what queer people go through or what Black people go through, any kind of real life element? Do you ever think about incorporating that into your story?
Oh, absolutely. Because the show I write from a place of escapism, but also still realism. It's definitely still pulled from my life, other people's lives around me. I won't go too deep into what in the story is mine and what belongs to the community around me. But there's a lot of stuff in this show where if it did not happen directly to me, I can find someone that it happened to. So yeah, definitely pulling a lot from life. I think that's also what we enjoy about the shows we love. We're those shows where you're like, oh, these people feel so familiar. They feel like my friends. It's because, you're talking about stuff that people are dealing with, that normal people deal with, and we're all normal people. So
yeah. And it's because watching the show is it isn't, it's a show, but it's I feel like I'm watching just people just hang out. You know what I mean?
And that was,
yeah.
Thank you. That is a compliment. Yep. That was kind of the point. To know me is to know that I'm a huge fan of Girlfriends. And what makes Girlfriends so special is that there are a lot of episodes of Girlfriends where you can obviously see there's a story here. Every episode there's a story, but there's sometimes where it feels more intentional, Tony's going to court to get custody of her, but stuff is more, specific. But a lot of the Girlfriend scenes that I love the most are just them sitting in Joan's living room or them at the Blue Bar. And it's just these people are just living life and they're just catching up with their friends. And some days the catch ups are much more eventful than others, but we're always catching up. So
yep. Yeah.
Thank you.
Where did they go? I remember in the first season, they went to this one restaurant that Kelsey Grammer popped in once. And then where was the other place where they hung out?
Season
I forgot.
1, that's so long ago.
That was for season 1, yeah. And then
because there was a restaurant they used to go to a lot, but I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah,
but
I forgot.
I could see it in my mind, but I can't tell you the place.
Yeah. But I bet maybe in your show you're gonna have a different central location, each season or whatever. Maybe. Well, we'll see.
Get out of my brain. Get out of my brain. There's a spot that the guys frequent pretty often. So
yeah. So yeah, it just makes me anticipate, what's the little things that I noticed.
Yeah.
So BQE is airing, I guess, or streaming on the Lenox Letters YouTube page. Now, what exactly is that? Because I was totally confused. What is this? What's happening here?
Got you. Right. So back in, oh God, I should know this much better. Well, I don't even know our own story. I want to say back in 2014 or 15, me and Now they've become creative partners, but friends at first. Essence Mason and Simone Smith, the two of us were like, we should do some stuff together. So they were working together as a duo. I came in the later part of it, and the three of us kind of became a team. And we had a production company called For Art's Sake 125, which how many? I think we did 3 short films and then 1 compilation piece. So like a collection of monologues, poems, and short stories. So yes, that was the original production company. Like all great things, we were like, we need to rebrand. We need to kind of step into our adult, situation now. And that's where we got Lenox Letters at. So Lenox Letters is an ode to Harlem. It is an ode to writers. It is an ode to where we all met at the Apollo. So shout out to Harlem.
Interesting. Yeah. So it's like it's like a collective of different kinds of creators. So like other kinds of content is probably on the way, right?
So what's funny? The reason why we did the name change is because other content was already happening. Because we did short films, and then in 2019, Essence wrote a musical that we all worked on together, and it got to a point where we were like, okay, we're not really just doing short films anymore. Like we're kind of branching out into other areas, which is why we wanted to rebrand and rename so that could be something that kind of encompassed everything that we're doing. So yeah.
Okay.
So,
what are some things that Lenox Letters has planned for 2022 that's not BQE?
You're asking too many questions. I'll be honest. This show has been a lot of heavy lifting. Most of the energy and just my own little brain that I would be using to create and do other stuff has been all poured into this show. So, I will say for now, I can't say too much, but there was one other thing that we were working on in like mid 2020 that kind of got a hold on it once BQE started picking up, shooting and all that other stuff. But we're staying busy. Was that too cryptic?
No, that's fine, because I'm gonna poke you again in a couple of weeks and ask you more.
Okay,
so that's kind of my nature. But
okay.
It's interesting with you're a TV nut too, and you hear stories about directors saying, yeah, I was shopping this around for like 5 years before it got picked up by HBO or wherever.
Right.
Now with the internet age, and you're making a web series, is that are you thinking about shopping any sort of content outside of BQE to any kind of network, or it's just I'm just going to operate in the internet space and then see what happens there?
So you're asking good questions. You're asking questions that I would not like to answer, but these are things that I think about. So, I mean, here's the thing, right? So as a content creator that wants to eventually eat off of his work, I'm sure that there will come a time where I will have to pitch to networks and studios and all of those different types of things. However, I do like the space that we're in right now. Because I mean, being on YouTube is not anything out of the ordinary. Everybody and their mama can post something on YouTube. What I enjoy about being on YouTube right now is that it's accessible to everyone, and everyone knows how to find it. So even when you start mentioning like, go find the show on Peacock or any of those other streaming services, you have a segment of the population that is like, either I don't have it, I don't pay for it, I don't have a smart TV, I don't know how to find these things. So so eventually I'm sure that we'll get to a point where I'll have to pitch to networks, but I do like being in sole control of it because I get to tell the story I want. I get to write it the way I want to write it. We get to shoot it the way we want to shoot it. And then we get to put it out in our own time. If we had did all of this work, which many people do, like shoot a whole show and then shelf it, begin to shop it to a network or shop it to a platform, and instead of the show coming out February 2022, it might not come out until February 2024, which, depending on what your intention is as an artist, that could be great for you. Like if you're really trying to just hold out and get the Netflix money and go that route, go ahead, do your thing. But I think for where we're at in the process, I think the most important thing now is just eyes and really building that fan base. Like much. I mean, I cannot sit here and talk to you about any of this without mentioning Issa Rae. And it's like Issa did a really solid job of really finding her audience, going super niche, going super specific, and then catering to them and like never forgetting about them. So that's where we're at now. We're in the building stage. We're just trying to, collect all of our friends, find our tribe, and yeah, so that when we do need to go into pitch, we can say it's us, but it's also these 50,000, this 100,000, however many people it is standing behind us. So cut the right check, pay us the right money.
You know what? But here's what you're probably thinking about this too. And yes, you're in that operating that niche category, and you're just building that audience and talking to the people you want to talk to. But then there is when you get to that network stage, right? To me, it's no, there's no hierarchy. I don't really care what anyone thinks about that. But like when it comes to like making creative stuff, but like we know with the networks, there's certain people that have a seat at the table, and there's certain people that don't. And watch your show is very gay, right? So in the TV world,
do you think it's a gay show?
Let's not talk about the obvious. I wasn't gonna come on here and state the obvious. I wasn't gonna do that.
I got you.
I have a lot more layers to me than that. But because like a lot of these networks, they don't have people that look like you or whatever the lifestyle.
No, I am so aware.
It's gonna be challenging to like kind of talk to them because they don't know what the hell you're talking about,
And you know what?
Yeah.
To be really transparent, that's why I didn't talk to them.
Uh-huh.
Like and even in the first episode premiering, and of course people are really great. Like people have really great intentions. Like I'm not trying to say this like that, but even once the trailer came out, people were like, "You got to pitch this to Netflix. You got to pitch this to Hulu." And I'm like, I feel like at this process, I feel like you need to know yourself so well, because so many people will come in and try to infiltrate, whether they mean it or not. And like, the show is great, but instead of this, maybe let's add in, a white gay character, because that'll help reach more audiences. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, white gay people don't exist in this world. You can watch the show, you can enjoy it, but this is not the show about the group of gay white guys in Brooklyn. So
no.
Yeah. And I feel like when you start talking to, people that make these decisions, very rarely is it, we'll take this show exactly as it is. Because of course, it's still a business. They want to put their own twist on it. They want to say, oh, this was our addition to this project, so it's really our project now.
Yeah.
So,
and I can imagine the token white girl that you have to have, Molly, just kind of inserts herself into your friend group. Hey guys,
right?
It doesn't know her privilege, or anything.
Now we do have a quote token white girl in the show. She doesn't come off like that, but there is definitely, that's funny. I didn't even think about that.
That's
actually the next episode 2 is when we see our good sis Katie, but that's
that's great. And her name is Katie. Oh,
yeah, I mean, come on.
I can't wait. Love that. Like you watch a Tyler Perry show, there's one token white person in that show. Because the network's like, you got it. Come on.
Somebody at Lionsgate was like, hey, please put somebody in.
Just do it. Just do it.
Right.
Is there any kind of like TV or web series tropes that you're actively trying to avoid?
Yes. Oh, great question. Oh my God. So the homosexuals. Can I talk to my people, Peter?
Go ahead.
Y'all, we have to stop this. So there is so many gay web series are so over sexualized, and like not to the point where like, because some people can look at a show like Insecure and be like, oh my God, it was so over sexualized, it's so sexual. On like a lot of gay web series, there's like full-blown like intercourse and like people giving each other fellatio, and I'm like, whoa, y'all. Wow. Like, I understand that we are sexual beings. We are all sexual beings, but like, do we gotta be out here in these streets like that? So yeah, that was one thing where I was like, well, if we do this, there's not gonna be anybody. Well, if you saw the first episode, you see that there is, but we're not going to be explicit with it. Like, it's not going to be so in your face every episode. It's like, yeah, these people have sex, but these people also have jobs and have careers and have lives. And their love life or their romantic partners are not the only thing that is driving them on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, I think that's the only trope that I was really trying to avoid. The other, I don't know if I should say this. The other one is, I will say, a lot of web series and a lot of shows and a lot of Black gay people in general are very into white partners. And it's nothing wrong with interracial dating, you know, love who you love. But I felt like it was becoming a very intentional thing. Like almost like when you watch commercials now and like every girl on a commercial just like a little biracial girl. And it's like, is she Black? Is she white? Like, I feel like there's a lot of ambiguous or ambiguity going on with that. But yeah, so much of the popular gay Black man trope is like, oh, if he's popular, Black and gay, he's going to be with a white man. And I was like, well, we're just going to try to write some real authentic Black relationships on this show because we don't see him enough and we need to see him more. So yeah, those are probably the only two things that I was really like, this is going to be this.
So like, as you know, you're an avid TV viewer as well. You know, when you're watching certain shows, is there any kind of tropes that you notice are like, oh my God, no, just generally speaking, not just
just generally. I'm sure. You know what's funny? I've actually stopped watching a lot of TV because of things like that.
Wow.
Where I'm like, I can't even get past this because this is just so But I don't know if there's any tropes that stick out automatically. I mean, of course, there's some that are just like the typical ones, like the stereotypical Black woman who's like rocking her neck and she tells it like it is and she don't take no mess from the boss. You're like, okay, girl, whatever, sure, you don't take no mess from the boss. So that's really, honestly, anything that's a trope, I'm not really a fan of. So even like the Valley Girl, I'm like, we've seen it so many times in so many 90s sitcoms. Just write real people. Like if you're gonna write a Valley Girl, write a Valley Girl, but also like let her have some depth. Like let her be a real person. So
yep.
Character first. That's always my thing. As long as you come from an authentic place with character, I can deal with the trope if it's rooted in reality. So perfect example, Black man playing a gangbanger. Not my favorite thing. Black man playing a gangbanger on Insecure who play, like, now we're talking Thug Yoda. And you're like, oh, you have a very specific reason why he's a gangbanger. And it's like, you get beyond the surface level of just, he shoots people. It's like, oh, he's a gangbanger, but he has heart and he has a daughter. He cares about people. So, yeah.
Yeah, like that guy in Everybody Hates Chris that calls Chris little dude from across the street. Every neighborhood has that.
Yes, you know? which is my Twitter name because I love Everybody Hates Chris.
That's why
I love Tyler James Williams. And shout out to Abbott Elementary. So good, man. Which I know you love. We have
absolutely love it.
No, it's so good.
I know.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
It is. I know
they're on hiatus for 3 weeks, which is so annoying. But
yeah. Well, I don't know why. I don't even know. Is that
network shit?
Holiday?
Network just stringing us along, hating us.
Yeah. But like,
but if you're a fan of Abbott Elementary and you need something to watch in these next 3 weeks, come over to BQE on YouTube. We're waiting for you.
Yeah, get all those because they got a huge. Their ratings are pretty damn good.
No, they beat Modern Family.
Really?
Like, yeah, they beat. I think Modern Family's. I think it was the finale, which was their highest rated episode. Whatever the highest rated episode was, Abbott beat like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
I'm like 10 years of TV. Abbott did it in 6 weeks.
Yeah, and what's his name? What's his name from Blackish? Anthony Anderson. Yes. So he was on the Breakfast Club talking about how he was sort of low-key upset that Blackish was kind of, off the air.
Yeah.
I was like, because I didn't watch Blackish a whole but I like Grownish, but like, he had a point. And then because this Black show goes off and there's not a lot of Black shows on ABC, but here comes Abbott Elementary. So I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Why not?
You know what's crazy? While I love Abbott, it doesn't feel like a Black show to me. I mean, the show is very Black. Let's not, let's make it clear. But I don't feel like it doesn't, I don't know. I guess my mind doesn't categorize shows like that really anymore because I only watch Black shows. But
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a black show,
It's just like
even though it
it's
is.
black. You know, a lot of
Yeah, it's like
all the cast members, not all the cast
right.
members,
Yeah, it's like
majority
majority
black.
black. It's a black lead. All of those black kids in it. Like it's definitely a black show, but
Yep.
it's not beating us over the head about how black it is. And I think that's why
Really.
it's so good.
Which is
Yeah,
really good. It's very organic. It's very natural. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're real people. You know, everybody
Right.
knows characters like that on the show.
when I tell you, I feel like I am Janine Teagues most days. I be like, damn, I be on some Janine, like high key.
Yeah. Oh man, just a totally great show. Like I just die
so
laughing
good.
every time I watch it. The principal, what's her name? What's the principal's name?
Ava.
Ava.
Oh
She's
my
great.
goodness.
Man, I've grown to really just love her.
She
She's so
be taking
entertaining.
me out.
Yeah.
And sorry. So you know the fact that I have to use their real names. I be getting confused. Tyler and then Quinta, their characters are about to get together.
Yeah.
Which means that Ava's about to be really on some bullshit to Quinta's character, which I cannot wait to see. Because she's
That's
been
gonna be
flaming her
madness.
already. So once the word gets out that they're together, Ava's about to be in savage mode, and I can't wait.
Yeah. What a great show. A must
So good.
absolute must watch.
Yes. If you're not watching, you need to watch. Everyone.
Yeah. Go out of your way.
So good.
Really.
Yeah.
When it comes to like BQE, like when you're writing this show, and if you're thinking of the viewer, right? So do you want us to laugh, to cry, to think, or all three?
Everything.
Yeah.
I think so. You know what's funny? When I sit down to write, I was never thinking, oh, this scene is supposed to be funny, or oh, this scene is supposed to make you think, or well, you know what? I can't say that. There is. I think that the difficult thing is trying to wrap all three of them into one thing, without giving too much away. In episode 6, there is a conversation that happens about. Should I say it? Whatever. I'll just say it. There's a conversation that happens about bottom shaming. If you're not familiar with what bottom shaming is, it is a thing in the gay community where people that prefer to be penetrated instead of penetrating are treated lesser than, because many view it as like, oh, you're the woman in the relationship, or you're the more feminine one. So
That's fucked up.
Right. So I was like, let's tackle this. Like, this is something I want to unpack with my people. So in writing that scene, I knew it was going to make people think, because you have to like do it intellectually. I knew I wanted it to be funny somehow. So I was like, all right, how do we write this scene and insert jokes into something that is so serious? And then the other part is like, but you also want people to feel good. Like you want people to leave this scene feeling like, I learned something, I laughed, I feel good about what's happening next in the show. So yeah, I don't know if I'm really overthinking one more than the other, but as long as it feels right. And see, that's the weird thing about being a writer. I've heard a lot of writers say this. It's like a magical thing that happens where you can't really describe it. And that's why people say like writer's block is so big, because you could sit in front of a computer for hours and be like, I have nothing. I'm Whitney Elizabeth Houston. I have nothing to give. And then on the 12th hour, you're like, oh. And the next thing you know, you're typing away for 4 hours. So yeah, I wish I could say like I'm leaning more to one than the other, but it really is just like a composite.
And then I was thinking about tropes again. Like this is probably not going to happen with any of your content, but this is basically for like, with movies and shows that have a lot more heterosexual relationships, like the manic pixie dream girl. Are you familiar with that trope?
No, what's that?
So that is when. Have you ever seen the movie? Let's see. Was it Garden State? Garden State, that movie. So
no,
a manic pixie dream girl is like the girl that doesn't really have any other depth to her. Like her role is to make sure like the typical like white male protagonist like finds himself and like kind of teaches them or whatever. It's almost like the magical Negro. It's kind of like that.
That's okay. So, yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like so there are those things, and then there's like. This is probably not really a trope, but I've been noticing this in like 2000 sitcoms or whatever. Because you're talking about like, with homosexual relationships, like, who prefers to being a bottom or whatever. So yeah. I've noticed certain things. I've seen it in How I Met Your Mother too. Like there's like a thing like, okay, who is on top and who is on the bottom, you know, with that's kind of, that annoys me. I don't like that's like corny. It's very just cheap. And then
it's cheap. It's cheap. That's exactly what it is. And I don't like cheap shit. I mean, yes, not this shirt. Actually, this is a nice Mary J. Blige shirt. But
nothing cheap about her. But
nothing cheap about Mary. But my little $5 black t-shirt's cheap.
Oh, of course.
Yes, I can do cheap in many aspects of my life, but when it comes to cheap jokes or like cheap product, I'm like, it's lazy. I don't like lazy stuff. So I like watching shows that make me think. I also like shows that make me look things up. Like I was watching the episode of The Golden Girls, so random.
Yeah.
But Sophia walks in the kitchen and she has on a pair of black sunglasses, but almost like a blind person would wear. And Dorothy says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Roy Orbison." The audience goes ape shit. People are losing it. I'm like, who the fuck is Roy Orbison? I look it up. He's like this blind guitar player from like the 50s or something. Okay. I was like, oh shit. Like, I learned something. I know who this person is.
Yeah.
It was a great joke because it landed perfectly. Like, she could have went, like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You look like a blind person. But to go the extra step of like Roy Orbison, I was like, oh, it works. So
yeah. Like, that's why I love about The Simpsons so much because when the episode where the teachers go on strike and then the kids have to go home, they can't go to school. Lisa loses her mind and she, loses her vocabulary like shrinks. And she says she's losing her perspicacity and she freaks out. I find it hysterical to this day. I still rewatch the clip millions of times. But it's like I don't know what perspicacity means, so I have to like look it up. Like, what the hell does that mean? Right. I love stuff like that, which is really which is cool. Yeah.
No, I'm a big fan of the candy and the medicine. Like, I like for TV to teach me. Like, I know people are like, it's the idiot box, blah blah blah. I'm like, TV can be very helpful.
Hell no.
A lot of shit that I know about just the world as a whole comes from 90s sitcoms, and I make no secret about that.
Listen, parents. I've met like every other kid that I met. Even into like adulthood, even in college, kids used to say, my parents never used to let me watch SpongeBob. I'm like, you know what? I learned the word enigma from SpongeBob. Okay? There is nothing wrong with SpongeBob.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you let TV lead you to the right thing, you can be really informed. Hello, Sesame Street. Like, come on now. Yeah, but no, honestly, I enjoy smart television.
Yeah, absolutely. Like with your character, Sherrod, right? Am I pronouncing that right? Sherrod?
Yeah.
So I know you said earlier you don't want to reveal too much about, if it's like kind of related to anything real, but that's not what I'm gonna ask. But like
but let's chat. Yeah. Go ahead.
So your character, right? So like Issa Rae, in Insecure is, I'm not sure if it's like 100% about who she is or whatever. And she kind of created this character, that's not really her, right? But since her character is also named Issa,
but like a dramatized version of her, almost like, kind of like they do on Curb, where it's like
I was just gonna say Larry David. Yep.
Yeah, but like it's a little bit more extreme.
Yeah. Like Curb is more like it's almost like pro wrestling, where it's like you're just yourself turned up to 100. That's what Steve Austin used to say all the time. But like with Sherrod, is Sherrod Malcolm Smith turned up to 100, or just a complete character that you just made up?
So I will say, just as the writer in general, all of these characters are a little bit of me. Even in ones you wouldn't think, like a character like Darnell, people would see Darnell on screen and be like, I don't see any of Malcolm in there, but like, that's all like that authentic Brooklyn energy. That's like Love and Jay-Z. It's like, there's so much of each character that really is a part of me. Sherrod and I are not Tia Tamara. We are not twins. We are very similar in a sense where we're both very focused on like our careers. Sherrod is a little bit more on the neurotic-y, oh my God, what's gonna happen? He doesn't get whiny, but he has like whiny energy sometimes. And I'm very much like if it's go time, let's go. But he's sweet. He's sweet. Sherrod is a good friend that I would have, but I don't know if I could date Sherrod. Sherrod be having a lot going on.
He has a high moral standard, it seems.
He does have a high moral standard. Once you get into his backstory a little bit more, you'll see, but like He's from Potomac, Maryland. He comes from money. I won't say silver spoon, but what's below silver? A good bronze, like a good bronze spoon is what he grew up with. So
because he's playing board games, which is interesting, because
wait,
like,
why is that interesting?
no, because it's like you picture like 20 somethings or 30 somethings with Sherrod like going out to a bar or what I mean, like doing something a little bit more relaxed, like or watching a show or a movie, but you're playing a board game, which is fine, but it's a little bit more like, okay, we're drinking wine instead of drinking beer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They had to. I think they were drinking tequila. Yeah. But even in the kitchen scene where Sherrod's like, let's play Rose and Thorn, and Darnell is like, oh, you want to talk about feelings? You and that Drake shit. Like that's just Sherrod. Like, Sherrod is always like, come on, y'all, let's have a deep conversation. Like let's tap in, let's get deep with each other. And it's like, yo, I'm trying to watch Housewives and drink liquor and eat chicken, like
or smoke some weed.
Yeah, who's trying to do all that? But
right.
Yeah, but there was a lot of Sherrod, and it's definitely a solid Venn diagram. There's a lot where we overlap, but there's definitely a lot where I'm like, could never.
Yeah, and the one thing I'm noticing, from the first episode of BQE, and I've seen it in other shows, and it's not like a bad thing, but it's like the whole thing when you're watching like dating happen on TV, it's like, okay, can you date somebody that like hooked up or dated your friend? And in real life, that is super messy in most situations, but then in like sometimes it's like, okay, that's fine, whatever. But like that's kind of interesting how you went about it, and you had a healthy conversation with your roommates, like, hey, this happened, but it's like it was a long time ago, and it's whatever. Move on, and then your man was like, are we good? Are you good? And you were like, yeah, and then that was it, which is really cool. You don't really see that,
right? And I think, and again, by design. Because that really came from, again, not my personal life, but just knowing, I feel like if you talk to most gay Black people that live in America, no matter what city they live in, they can probably tell you that they know at least 25% of the other Black gays that live in their area. Now, of course, in a city like New York, that's much more difficult because much more people. But there was really a point in time in life where so many of my friends or people that I would know would either be dating someone that their friend had once dated or talked to or slept with multiple times. And it became like this weird 6 degrees of separation where everybody was kind of connected to each other somehow. And I was like, oh, this is messy. It's never happened to me. But again, just in, experiencing life, I was like, well, how would one handle this? And I'm like, it should just be a conversation.
Yeah.
But we got a very civilized version of how that conversation could have went, because it could have went a total different way with much more chair throwing, 5-letter curse words, and all those different types of things. But
Yeah. And you're wearing the Mary J. Blige shirt, and I just thought maybe, did you see the Super Bowl halftime show? Because Mary was.
I did see it. I actually had this shirt on while I was watching it.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, I dressed in my team colors. Yes.
Oh yeah.
My team jersey.
Yeah.
Yes.
What'd you think? What'd you think of it?
I thought it was. I mean, I adore Mary J. Blige. Like she can do. She's on my wall right now. Like she is one of those people where I'm like, I'm not for Yonkers, but like that's my hometown hero. She's a New Yorker. Like that's my girl. But I thought it was really good. Of course, I needed more than 2 songs, because what is 2 songs from a queen? But I was like, all right, fine. We got to talk to Curtis and whoever else the hell was on the stage.
Gotta talk to Marshall. Gotta talk to
Marshall. Yeah.
Talk to Kendrick.
What's Snoop's first name? I always forget. Calvin.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that.
Calvin,
yeah. But. Yeah, I enjoyed it though. But I enjoy all things Mary J. Blige at all times.
Yeah.
So
it was a very entertaining mashup of songs that a lot of people have like this warm nostalgia for, which was really nice. It was really nice.
It was a lot of radio hits, which I appreciated.
Yeah. It was a good time. So BQ, is it like on like you have a schedule, like every Tuesday at 8 or every Wednesday at 9 or whatever?
That's it. You got it on the former. Yeah, every Tuesday 8 p.m. on the Lenox Letters YouTube channel.
Cool.
We dropped the first one on 2/2/2, so last Tuesday, on Tuesday, as the Twitter streets were calling it. But yeah, we got 6 more to go. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. So tap in. People seem to really be enjoying it. So if you enjoy it, please share with a friend. That is the only way that things like this can continue to be. So
it was like almost a half hour that felt like 12 minutes, which is a good thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Somebody texted me right after and it was like, that's it. And I was like, okay. So we did what we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because when you're watching something and it drags, when you're checking your watch, you're like, when is this going to be over? Like, you don't want that reaction. So yeah, the fact that it felt shorter than it was, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Where can people follow the Butch Queens on socials?
The Butch Queens, yes. So you can follow damn, I should know this better. BQE the series on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All of them just at BQE the series. I'm on Instagram at _Hey Malcolm. I don't know the other cast Instagrams, but if you go to the Instagram, you can find their profiles there too. But yeah, that's it on the Lenox Letters YouTube channel. So every Tuesday, 8 p.m.
Yep.
And we're excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, me too. I'm very it's a world that like I'm being pulled into, which is great. Which is also right. So sorry. So my question for you is, because I mean I was gonna say I'm not gonna put your business all in the street, but as a person that's not gay, what about this show do you identify with the most? Oh man, this is a conversation I have with like my brother a lot about like you know, watching a show that's with relatability. Like I just finished watching The Wire. The Wire is a show about cops. Yeah, I have nothing to connect with police, but the show was enticing. The story was good. That's all I care about. All I care about is a good story. Again, if you have a good story, I don't care what. Oh, I like Sex in the City. A bunch of rich white women complaining. I can't relate to that, but it's entertaining. It is entertaining. You know what I mean? That's all. Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's a drunk Texan who drinks beer, and I don't do any of that. But like, oh my god, like I really,
character. It's compelling.
It's very compelling, and he's beating up his boss.
Right, because no, you're really right. Because I'm like, I would watch a show honestly about 4 Crayola markers. If they have 4 distinct personalities and we're doing the funnies, I'd watch a show about 4 markers. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, as long as it's a good story. Yeah.
As some people want to see themselves on screen, which is great.
Right. Which I totally get.
Right. I don't necessarily always need to see my exact, because there's not a lot of people that are like me. So not to say like I'm this elite person, but I'm a different kind of person. Yeah. But like
I will say,
Go
ahead. So as someone that's watched a lot of TV, I don't think I've seen someone like you on TV yet. No, I mean honestly,
I think there's some things I can't think of it off the top of my head, like that's like, okay, that's kind of like me, but not really. I guess watching a High Fidelity like Rob, but Rob is like a white dude, he's not like me, but like the way he talks about music, I kind of talk about music that way, but that's it. That's really it. But like there's nothing else, but that's fine. I don't really care, like, because one, it's just again, a good story is a good story. That's it. Right. That's all it is. So I guess I want to really answer your question, but there is something specific, like I guess the New York isms, the New York things are really kind of cool. What else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, it's just a good story. That's really I'm interested in the story. No, that's all.
Got you. Okay, no, I appreciate that. No, I just asked because again, when you know that you're creating something. Because honestly, when I first started writing this, there was 2 boxes that I wanted to check. I was like, I want my friends to enjoy it, and I want my community to respect it. And that was really it. So I was like, even if people, if a gay Black person in New York or LA or wherever watches this show and doesn't see themselves in it, that's fine. But as long as you can respect the work, you're like, this is not for me. Like, this is not the type of gay person that I am, but I respect what's happening over here, So, As long as I'm not tearing the people down, I'm trying to be good for the blacks.
Yes, because there's a lot of the other way going around. So when you look at like when I'm watching this show, it's just okay. These are young people approaching the 30s or in their 30s, trying to find themselves, what they want to do. In that regard, of course, I can relate to that.
It's a universal story.
That's it. It is universal.
Because either you will be 30 trying to figure it out, or you've been 30 trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So, but on the other hand, like I'm watching Clueless a lot, and it's a great movie, and it's about a high school girl and a college dude. I'm not really in that world anymore.
I was like, are you watching Clueless like on loop?
No, I've just seen it a lot. But yeah, it's a great. But Malcolm, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes,
Violet Underground again.
Thank you.
Talking about BQE. You're always welcome again to talk more about it. But it's been a whole lot of fun. I feel like
if I have some exclusive news, I probably won't have no exclusive news. But if I do, I'll ring your line.
Yeah, the rabbit is out of the hat at this point. So
for what? Oh, you mean show? Just like yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's out already. So yeah.
I mean, but it's still more coming. So
of course, And then before I was trying to get some things out of you, but you're like, all right, I'll tell you, it's coming out this day. But then it was like 2 weeks after that, so it doesn't matter.
All right, because I told you February 1st, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It was supposed to be February. I want to start Black History Month with it, and then I was like, that's not gonna work.
You just finished Black History Month with it, so that's fine.
Right, but 2/2/2 is like a great launch date. I was like, this is perfect. We gotta go with that. So yes,
absolutely.
Well, thank you, Peter. This was
anytime.
Fun.
Yep.
All right.